Emery, a very smart guy. Why you hear him being shouted out in Jay-Z's music for years while he was away. Like very smart guy. Don't underestimate Jay-Z because it's not just Jay-Z. Jay-Z's the biggest elephant in the room, but he may not be the smartest. So,
So do it. Arriving at a new facility, a new jail, or a new prison, it's always the most tense, anxious time. Did anyone try and heart check you or challenge you arriving in any of these facilities?
um, so in Union County Jail, they um they looked at me as like almost like a plant because again, I was writing in there trying to save my life. So Union County Jail, yes, they looked at me crazy. I never got tried. And then in when I got settled in that 6 month at Allenwood. I was able to find friends. I actually people wrote to me in Allenwood, other authors that heard about me. I also made friends with people that were from my location in the Bronx or that were from Mount Vernon area or that just knew. So you click up. So I did click up with certain people and I never got harmed. I got confronted. I've had fights with people that are jealous because I found my life. I literally found my life in prison. I found myself and I'm focused and I'm driven. And then you have some people that are just jealous, like that I did find myself. And so I got attacked a couple of times. I thank God I never got hurt. Thank God I was taught to fight in the Marine Corps,
What
even
was
before
what,
even
what
before the
was the
Marine Corps.
what was the first time? What happened?
Some guy, Peruvian cat, he came and he swung a chair at me. And I remember laughing when the chair was coming because it was like slow motion. Like, not for nothing, but it was a metal chair. And I just felt like that was dumb because you're leaving yourself exposed. I gave him a three-piece, man. I just like I because you're swinging a chair, you're leaving yourself wide open, and you're telling me you're telegraphing where it's coming from, how it's coming. So I'm able to dodge like as in boxing. We dodge and weave, and so I did the same. And so I hate that I did that because he was a pilot. I'm sorry that I did that, and I doubt he's watching. He probably got deported. But bro, like you attacked me, like why? And then there was another cat. He was Trinidadian. He was also jealous, proud Trinidadian, and I'm sorry that happened. He attacked me. He got the best of me because he charged at me. So I didn't know how to fight my way out of that one. He charged at me, and eventually some other guys pulled him off of me. He didn't swing at me. He didn't punch me, but he charged at me, and then it was like he was on top of me. And so those were the two fights that I had. Everything else I avoided. I'm not a troublemaker, Shaun. I'm not a troublemaker, even under those circumstances. I mind my business. I try to find something to do. I turn my lemons into lemonade. That's who I was. That's who I am.
It sounds like you were helping the guys. We've got a comment here. Within the metaphor was also a hummingbird within the prison system because he fought for prisoners' rights. Therefore, the vultures did not prey upon him as he sat upon vultures' shoulders. So you became an activist.
So the thing about what he was doing was he was doing legal work for people. So when you do legal work for people, you're in a good space because people need you, and you're sort of protected because they realize you're the legal beagle. You're the. But for me, I was just very quiet and minding my business, and I attracted Emery, to me by minding my business. I wasn't looking for money. I wasn't looking for help. I had an agenda in mind. I'm going to write these books. I'm going to be a popular author. This was my I'm going to be a best-selling author. This was my agenda. And so help me God, I manifested what happened. Like I literally have been on ABC World News. I've I've got my first book deal was the biggest in history. I'm the writer for 50 Cent. And then of course now I'm on Good Morning America for all of this stuff, right? But all of these things are because I manifested and mastered my craft. And so for anybody out there, I know there's people that are feeling like, who is this Jay-Z, this P. Diddy, and now this guy, they're all big and this and that. Like, you don't have to feel like you're forgotten or that you're the have not in life. All you have to do is master your craft, and you can become a player on the field. You can achieve something. There is room for you to win. You master your craft, you do the work. So don't look for the hacks in life. Don't be a bad boy. Don't be a menace. Be nice to people. Be good to other people, and continue to be better and be a practitioner and an apprentice at what it is that you want to manifest, and you will hit pay dirt. There's the reason why I became a successful writer is because I learned from Dr. Dennis Kimbrough while I was in Allenwood. Instead of fighting my case, because I could have shaved some time off of my case, but instead of that, I decided to. I watched a video by Dr. Dennis Kimbrough, and he said in the video, it was a long speech, but here was the juice the nuggets that I took from it. He said, spend 3 to 5 years at being the best, or being a practitioner, or being an apprentice, or being an advocate for something, and be consistent at it for 3 to 5 years. I don't care if you make shoes. I don't care if you sweep sidewalks. Do it for 3 to 5 years. Be consistent. Be an apprentice to somebody, and then you can be the best in your neighborhood. If you do it for 5 to 7 years, that means being a practitioner or an apprentice. You studious, you research, you do it for 5 to 7 years, and you could be the best in your tri-state area. You will be noted, and you'll be known to be the best at what you do. But you do that for 7 to 9 years, which is what I focused on. You master your craft for 7 to 9 years. You can be the best in the world at what you do. And so help me God, that's what I did. I focused on that. I said, never mind this legal stuff. I don't care. I'm going to be a best-selling author. And that's what I did. And that's what I became.
So your question from the viewer here, Eye to Eye, is asking, did you make your bunk Marine Corps style?
Yeah, you had to, like, I was trained for prison in the Marine Corps because like you had to make your bunk right. If you didn't, they'll come rip it up. They'll come pull it apart, and you had to put it together again. And they'll not only do that, they'll throw all your personal items all over the place. And then if you piss them off enough, they will take it out on the rest of the platoon. And if they do that, that's your ass. Because when the platoon is angry, they'll come get you and give you a blanket party. And a blanket party is where late at night when you're sleeping and the drill instructors are missing, your COs and your officers are missing, they're sleeping, they'll come and they'll, on each side of the bunk, there'll be two guys, they'll pull a blanket over you, all over your body, your head, and everything. And then there'll be four other guys. They got locks. They got combination locks. They'll tie them to the end of the belt, and then they'll start beating on you. And it doesn't matter if the lock hits you in the head or it doesn't matter. They give you a blanket party. So you learn to toe the line really quickly. And so, yeah, I've had a blanket party.
You've got to be in compliance, otherwise there's going to be collective punishment. How were your cellmates over those 7 years?
Over time, you learn to conform, or you learn to conform. You learn to, like I say, know when to hold, know when to fold, know when to walk away, know when to run. Just being honest, like I've just focused on mastering my craft. I met a lot of people. I was able to get a lot of research in prison. A lot of people, like I met the nephew of one of the big drug czars that got taken down back in the day. That you had the cartel, and you had the copycat cartels. And so I was in a space where I was with a lot of the copycat cartelitos they called them, and I was in there with a lot of the drug runners and people that were actually dope runners as well. And so I learned a lot from them. I wrote a book called The Last Kingpin, and that's where a lot of the date. Oh, you also have agents that got locked up too. You had judges that got locked up. So I was able to do a lot of research in there and get to the nitty gritty of like a story that I was telling. Like a novel I was writing. So yeah, so that was my life. I went into full stealth writer's mode in prison. Be clear. Like I know it's novel. You see all these movies in prison, and you see you see the nonfiction and the fiction. And for me, it was just like I turned it into an incubator. I turned it into an incubator. I made it work for me. They said, I made the time work for me, and it really did. Like I literally came home, got my life together within record time, and got a multi book deal that turned into millions of dollars in book sales, not just for the publishing company, but also I sell books myself. So I had my independent, and I had the big publishing company that got me into the Walmarts of the world. And so it was, and then the movies. It was just like a lot coming out of me at the same time. I was in the New York Times, like front page article of the arts and leisure section, and it was like a big cupola. I wasn't sold on my own fame, but I understood it, and I understood that it was part of my journey. I'm here like for the long term, like no more dumb decisions in my life, whether it's people that I meet, Diddy, like if they want to introduce me to somebody right now, it's different. So it's a little different.
It's commendable that you turned it into the educational opportunity of a lifetime when there's so much shenanigans in there. And
In
a
the world.
part of that was your reading, obviously. And the next viewer question is, did you read a lot, and what books did you focus on?
I read, first of all, success books. So I read Tony Robbins, Les Brown, Dr. Dennis Kimbrough. I read those books. But for fiction writing, I read Spiders Spin Me a Web. I think Patterson wrote that. Telling Lies for Fun and Profit was another one. I read by Stephen King wrote a book called On Writing. And so the first part of the book, not so much, but the second two parts of the book were very important because I learned that Stephen King wrote under another name. He wrote under Richard Bachman. The Bachman books are off the chain, guy. If you like Stephen King, like, oh my God, the Bachman books. So life imitates art, right? Shooting up classrooms didn't start with what you see in the new. Oh, read Rage. Stephen King started all of this. So yeah, I read Guy Johnson was a guy that turned the tables for me too. John Grisham for sure, but Guy Johnson turned the tables for me. That's Maya Angelou's son. He wrote a book called Standing at the Scratch Line. Really changed my life. And so these fiction writers showed me their blueprints by having books. And so I read their books and I kind of figured it out. And I basically, Sidney Sheldon, one of the goats, I read and dissected their books and I says, oh my God, I got this. And that's when I started killing it. I started writing and so help me. But master your craft because everything else will come and find you. Just master your craft. I don't care if you do floors, do the best floors because Oprah will call you to do her floor. You know what I mean? You never know who calls you, but master your craft and you will hit pay dirt.
Yeah, I read On Writing, found it very inspirational, especially the story he's talking about. He gets run over down the country road and his recovery from that. So, what was your release like? Were you anxious, anticipating, the excitement of getting out? What was your going through your head at that point?
Man, I was glad to have a little support system. I was still married. So I got married before I was in, so right before. And so she stayed with me. Well, she stayed with me on paper while I was in for seven years. And when I came home, it was fireworks. What so So my wife at the time had some boyfriends while I was away, and they were very rich boyfriends. One worked at Pfizer, and another was a doctor. And she was seeing them. She was being resourceful. I can't be mad at her because I was taken out of the equation. No more bread earner. So I'm not even mad at what she did. But the truth of the matter is, she had boyfriends. And those boyfriends put her in high rises, sent her on trips, took care of the kids. They paid the kids going to school, like all those things. So, but she didn't cut them off when I came home. One of those boyfriends actually cut a check for 20 grand, and I was able to go print 20,000 of my first book. And for any author out there, you understand that's big, because now I was able to be in the bookstores. She didn't tell me who he was, though. She got him to cut the check, but she didn't tell me who he was. Had she told me who he was, I probably would have never paid that money back. I would have called that dues. Okay, we're in the clear now, buddy. But I found out later that they weren't just, friends. You know what I mean? So coming home, getting my license in order, getting my driver's license in order, getting my life in order wasn't as hard as for most people. I had it easy. I got to live in a 3 bedroom high rise. I got to have a little bit of money to get a laptop to, just get my life in order. And so I had it a lot easier than the average person now that I look back on it.